Hi, Alan Stratton here from CostMatters.com. A few years ago, I participated in a research group to study capacity. At first, we spent a lot of time trying to define what seemed to be basic capacity terminology, such as theoretical capacity and practical capacity. The discussion went this way and that way depending on the power of the last presentation. We were getting nowhere, but fast. The situation reminded me of discussions back in my home companies over the years. We rarely could arrive at what our practical capacity was, either as a number or as a definition. Ultimately, some compromise was proposed by an authority, also known as the boss, and life went on. But no one had really bought into the number, and everyone hoped that they would not have to defend or define the computation. But here we were in a research group. All of us were experts with lots of actual personal experience. It seemed that we were a mirror image of our home companies. We tried to excuse ourselves because we came from different companies and different backgrounds. But it was not a good scene. Finally, we had an epiphany. Things changed. We finally looked at a clock and realized that every one of us had 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 52 weeks a year. Now, having been taught well by our mothers, we looked both ways before we crossed this street. Looking the opposite way, each of us had 60 minutes per hour and 60 seconds per minute. Time was a constant that every one of us could agree on. Now, we did discuss Einstein, but we dismissed him. Now we could define total capacity in terms of time, and we progressed well. We realized that we could agree on other definitions in terms of time. Ultimately, we defined a time-based capacity model. The model included 3 large states represented by blocks and many smaller states or smaller blocks. Each block represented how time was spent. The large blocks were productive, non-productive, and idle. We even color-coded them green, red, and yellow like a stoplight. When it came time to measure capacity, we realized an additional benefit. Even if we could not directly measure capacity of a certain block, we could back into the number by first measuring its neighbors. Then we could subtract what we knew from the total to arrive at what we did not previously know. The process was mathematically sound and bulletproof. Then we found that we could translate our time model into production units by multiplying the time by a production rate. Then we found that we could apply cost to our model with very little difficulty. No, we couldn't use a single rate here, but we could follow cause and effect principles to apply cost to the model. Now we could also talk about capacity in financial terms. In the end, we had a capacity model with common definitions and the ability to present the model to different audiences by translating the time model into different measurement terms. The wonderful thing was that the underlying definitions always remained the same. The model is published in Capacity Measurement and Improvement and is available on Amazon.com and by clicking below. I'll post more on capacity in the future. Meanwhile, please add your comments below. Thank you. This is Alan Stratton from CostMatters.com.